persuasion speech. There were 6 seconds left in the last game of the year, both Alabama and Clemson fighting for glory. As I sat there, I wondered what it took for these student athletes to get this far. I thought about it, and I think the main reasons for these players getting paid are the NCAA using the students for marketing, the time the players put into the game. That doesn't include all the time that they spend working for their school, working on their schoolwork, and finally, the limited benefits the families receive in return for these athletes. College athletes should be paid because the universities sell their jerseys with their name and number on the back, and the students don't see any money for this. The NCAA currently is a $6 billion business, and the NCAA players cannot receive any money from the NCAA. Even the top selling jerseys, as in 2014, Johnny Manziel was the top selling jersey. Everybody still today walks around with a Johnny Manziel jersey on, except he didn't receive any money for this. Money from these deals and the marketing for athletes excel what the universities pay out for the scholarships that they give. Christy Dosh article in 2014. Moving on to my next point, college athletes should be paid because of the tremendous time that they put in during the year. This might be most significant in a 2014 CNN documentary starring Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, where he described how a basketball player, but football players would go through the same, had a career-ending injury, and he got his scholarship taken away from him. This is a very significant incident because that player's family did not have enough money to pay for him to continue to go to the school. A follow-up point is the fact that athletes work a rigorous 43.3 hours a week on their respective sports, plus the extra 10 to 15 hours a week that they have to put into their classes. This far exceeds a 40-hour-a-week job that most professionals have to work, and they work 8 to 5 every day, while college athletes start very early in the morning and have to work even later in the night. On top of that, staying in their classes. This is from Brian Frederick's article, April 2013, Peter Jacobs' article in January 2015. To go along with this point, Joe Nocera tries to explain this, and he describes how a $3 million budget for a football team, which has approximately 50 to 60 players on it, was shut down in a 2014 decision. Nocera, 2016 article. My final argument as to why college athletes should be paid is in regards to their families. In an article by Providence Journal in 2015, Kevin McNamara describes how LaDontae Henton, a college basketball player, struggles, did not have enough money to pay for the hundreds of thousands of dollars given to him by the school because his family lived in a rough neighborhood and just did not have could not pay for everything. Going on with this point, college scholarships given do not cover basic things like supplies and textbooks. They only cover room and board. Relating to my point about training schedules, although athletes can get discounted food, they work such a rigorous schedule that by the time that they are allowed to eat at night, most of the places to eat on campus are already closed at that point, which means that these families that do not have that much extra money have to have their kids go off campus, and this causes a problem because after a while it just they just don't have the money to even eat, which is a basic need, obviously. So this puts excessive strain on the athletes, because they have to think about whether or not they are going to eat that day, and they have to think about all the stress that their college coaches put on them in order to be able to play on the field that coming fall. My counter arguments to this would be that colleges just don't have the money. They already pay out for room and board, but I think that with the merchandise and all the other ways that they can get money off of college students, that they would have the extra like couple of $1,000 to give out to these student athletes. The other argument is that they will say that that only the big schools can afford this. Also, they will say that college players should be working for the love of the game and do it ethically, and not be worrying about if they get paid. But I think this is a bad argument, because if these college players get injured and have serious injuries that last more than their college career and have to pay out thousands of dollars in addition, I think that they should be able to get paid and have the money to pay for those extra costs. In conclusion, I have talked about the NCAA using players in advertisements, players needing to put in excessive time into their respective sports, and finally, the limited benefits that families receive in return from them being college athletes. The NCAA is a cash cow, and I think that a stipend which allows players to receive a set amount of money a month would be very useful to these players. Thank you. Have a good day.